What's up, everybody? It's Alex from Heavy New York. We are back at Webster Hall, and we return after 2 long minutes with Logan Mader of Machine Head and, of course, Once Human. We're going to do some Once Human stuff now. So, you released the new single Sledgehammer, and could this be like a clear representation of what like the follow-up to Evolution is going to be like, or is this record going to be more experimental?
It's going to be a lot more experimental than that track. That's just the song that got finished and felt the best to us at the moment, but it's all still in progress right now, and it's kind of going to be all over the place in a really good way. Yeah.
Yeah, because I thought that, Evolution was very different from The Life I Remember and so on and so forth. So, like, do you have, like, sometimes a preconceived idea of what you want a Once Human track to sound like, or is there a lot of experimentation and improvising?
And I just want it to be finished already. Because, listen, it's like Max Karen, you know Max, right? He's the other guitar player in Once Human. He's the main riff writer, and I wrote riffs on Evolution and stuff, but he was majority writer even on that. And reason, it's not because I'm lazy or whatever, or he's just amazing, like an amazing riff writer, and he just flows like really efficiently, spitting out amazing content. And so he's really on the third album, he's doing that again, so it's hard to say where it's going to go, because like he's really expressive, and his riffs really speak loudly. Like they have a very clear emotional content within them, a feeling that they create. It's super defined, all of them, and all over the place, different feelings, different colors, different textures and grooves, but they all have this thing that's super identifiable from song to song or even riff to riff. And so he's doing his thing, and Lauren is top lining as it comes in. My role is kind of more on a producer, engineer, mixer type / camp counselor.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so, but it's amazing stuff. It's going to show a lot of growth creatively as a band, and super, super unique, still super heavy, aggressive, but also, pretty artsy at the same time.
You mentioned, like, because, I still get goosebumps when I hear the riff to Passenger or, like, the soloing in Paragon or something like that 3 years later. And I know that Max was Dino Cazares' tech for a while, so I thought maybe there was, like, some Fear Factory influence in there.
I wouldn't think so. No, Max is younger than me, and he grew up on, like, Meshuggah and Korn and Devin Townsend. So I grew up on Bay Area thrash metal. I'm more of a kind of a caveman guitar player, and he it's the evolution of the human species. Perfect example.
No pun intended.
So yeah, he started off where he did, and the music that influenced him, inspired him, made him want to be a guitar player is what kind of helped shaped where he has gone as a creative force. So
yeah, being that you are a producer, when you are doing production for your own band and Once Human, is there maybe a little more creative freedom that you have in that, as opposed to when you're producing like the Divine Heresy, Rest in Peace Joe Payne, or the Gojira record or something like that?
No.
Really?
No, I wouldn't say. No.
So working with your band is pretty much the same as if you're doing production for another band?
Well, every project is different, There's always different moving parts, but it's all kind of the same, in the end, I guess. I voice my opinion about what's best for the song, and I try to just do what's best for the song in the moment, and but it's not just all about me. It's a collaboration, and especially when I'm not like the main songwriter, Yeah. I may end up writing full songs on this record. I don't know what's going to happen. There's a window of time to go back and finish it up and work on it, and we got to deliver it on a certain day. And so um, yeah, there's a lot of work to do still. So but, we're kind of talking into the future now. So I don't know.
Yeah. Well, when a band approaches you asking like they want you to be the producer, do you have to listen to their music and be like, "This is"? Do they say this is what we want, or does the band want you to kind of bring your own little input into it?
Some bands need want a lot of help and collaboration, and I do end up like co-writing with bands to help finish their songs or write new songs from the ground up. And then there's other bands that have everything really mapped out, and they do all their own pre-production and their demos, and like the songs are written, and they're like just ready to go, make it sound good, record it. And so it depends on what the artist wants. You know, I'm
Yeah.
flexible. I can do either way.
Yeah. I've always said that a producer or a mixer is like the fifth Beatle, sixth, or if you're in Slipknot, the 10th Beatle or something like that. So,
10th.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, as somebody who has seen Once Human live now 3 times, it's always a different experience seeing you live than simply listening to the album. For you, is there a different energy playing live versus when you are like in the creative process, or is it completely different or a completely separate art altogether?
Yeah, live is not time to think about anything, and in the creative process, you're supposed to think about and be aware, and you're doing a job, and you have a task and goals. In live performance, it's just feeling it, feeling what you did, and feeling the songs, and feeding off the energy from the crowd, and just soaking up that showcane.
Yeah, showcane.
It's the best word I've learned, I think, in my whole life, and I just learned it recently from Jared McEachard from Machine Head.
Oh, really?
And it describes, in one word, describes everything.
I'm gonna start using that now in every interview. Do I have to pay you or him?
No, you can have that one.
All right.
I mean, I didn't make it up, so who am I to say?
You're gonna see me saying that in a lot more interviews, thanks to this guy right here. But Once Human has also toured with like a variety of different bands, like seeing you with Xandria and Cobra and the Lotus, but then seeing you with Dragon Force and so on, and then you were just on 70K. I'd imagine that you played in front of many different audiences too, right?
Yeah, we ended up with playing in front of an audience that's more like power metal, symphonic metal, female-fronted metal crowd. 'Cause when we toured with Cobra and the Lotus and Xandria, because that's who we were playing. We actually played here.
Yeah.
You were here.
Yep, in this exact room.
Yeah.
That's where we first met.
Yeah. So that's the kind of a crowd, a subgenre of metal that I'm not super, connected with or anything. But the fans really liked Once Human, and most of them had never heard it before, so that worked well. And then Dragon Force was more of like a power metal crowd, like almost like a Comic-Con kind of video game culture crowd that also likes power metal for some reason. So this is even another subgenre of audience that was sort of new to me, and that went well for us too. And then we were out with Fear Factory, and that was good. That's like 90s metal kind of vibe, and so it shows me. And then on 70K Tons, that was really well received, and that was our first time performing in a couple of years. So that felt really good to finally get back from our mini hiatus, like to get back in a room and play music, play together, and then do some shows. It felt great, and the 70K experience was really amazing. Like, I recommend doing that if you haven't done it yet.
Yeah, I wanted to go so bad to see Emperor.
Oh yeah, I saw Emperor and Isan.
Oh my God, how was that?
Amazing. Both of those were amazing. I saw Exodus, and then they did Bonded by Blood from start to finish, which is my favorite Exodus album, and it's one of the reasons I play guitar. So like I heard that record first when I was 15 or something, and that got me so pumped. I was crowd surfing and did a stage dive.
Really?
Yeah.
That is awesome. Now I really wish I would have seen that.
Yeah, and then the whole vibe of people on the boat is crazy, with like people dressed up in crazy costumes, everyone drinking, everyone also really happy and respectful of personal space. It's like musicians. There's 62 bands, all their crew, and about 2,000 or 3,000 fans, all in this boat, all in this one thing together, and it was a unique vibe. It didn't feel like a meet and greet, or it didn't feel like being at a normal concert where you don't want to really, walk out into the crowd because it would be disruptive, or you would get too many people like walking up to you or whatever. But yeah, so there was a lot of just good, happy vibes from everybody. I didn't see anyone being disrespectful to anyone, and yeah.
Just surprised the boat didn't sink. The first time I was on a cruise ship, the first movie they showed was Titanic. That was not.
Nice.
And I have two more questions for you, if that's cool. But being because I've also noticed that you were working in video game music as well, like the Metal Gear soundtrack, amongst others. Is there like is that a different element altogether as opposed to just working with regular bands and regular musicians? Because I don't know if you have to focus on that, but like you have to do you have to get a visual of the game in order to come up with the music or something like that?
Well, it's absolutely much different than making an album to do gameplay music. Or in Metal Gear Rising case, I was doing the boss fight songs. So these were songs, but they're not structured like normal songs, and they have to be compartmentalized into sections that can seamlessly loop during gameplay by the engine controlling and then trigger the next section depending on where you are in the fight. And then so that's an AI thing happening, interacting with the audio engine. And then the outro, when you kill them, when you beat the level, then another outro comes in. And so and they also, so there's that. So structurally and technically, it's a lot different way to approach the production. And then you've got music supervisors, you've got publishers, you have multiple sources of creative input coming, and so you have to. In this case, there was a bit of a language barrier too, because Konami is a Japanese company, and the developer was Platinum, which was Japan-based as well, and so getting creative comments that would translate from Japanese into English sometimes was like difficult to decipher what exactly they wanted, and sometimes they don't really know what they want. You have to kind of figure out what they think they want.
Yeah,
and sometimes you go in these loops of rabbit hole stuff, and then end up back where I started in the first place. Thank you very much.
That's the worst.
But well, it can be, but it's like it keeps you on your toes. And at the end of the day, you're doing a service for someone else. It's their product and it's their music, and you got to make them happy. Yeah. So,
yeah. Are you in charge of because I'd imagine it's not just making the music, but there's coding involved too. So are you in charge of when you make the music? Do you have to make sure that it's programmed to loop at this certain time, change at this certain time, or do you just leave that to the programmers?
Yeah, that's all spelled out. Those looping points. Yeah. So. Just in the parts delivery, the delivery of the files, it's really way more than here's your mix, dude, kind of thing. It's like every section would be stemmed out and bounced in such a way and with the right length so that it can loop seamlessly, like with dovetails coming over, so it doesn't ever sound like something's chopping off. But no, the game engine talks to the audio and it tells it when it needs to change. My stuff has to just be ready for whatever it, just be ready for it. Yeah.
I learned something really new today, and I've wanted to know that. I'm a video game music freak, so I've always wondered
So that's with song play type stuff that's in game. Other sections which I didn't do on this, I've done it with movies, is scoring, and so that's when you write to the picture. And in games, a lot of it is more in the cutscenes. So that's done. It doesn't change. You either watch it or you don't. And then and the same thing with gameplay score. It is told what to do according to what's happening on, where you're at in the game. Mm-hmm. So changes. Yeah.
So before we go, I'd like to thank you so much again for your time today. 2 interviews for the price of 1. Is there just anything else with Once Human you would like to promote? Can we be expecting to see you on the road anymore, or maybe a time frame on when we could be expecting the follow-up to Evolution?
Yeah, like I said, we're working on that 3rd album. As far as the release date, it's not set in stone yet, and it kind of depends on my Machine Head schedule, which I'm still waiting to get finalized with their team, how much that's my priority, is to do the Burn My Eyes thing as much as it needs to be done. And once I know all my schedules, then I can plan a rollout. And we've got a new team surrounding Once Human that I'm really excited about. New management, new booking agents, both here in America and in international. and that's exciting because the team is like really genuinely excited about the band and they get it and they want to work hard to push it to where it needs to be, and I really need that. I was managing the band and it's like, fuck that shit. I mean,
Managing, producing. Yeah, I remember. I think you and I coordinated like the first interview directly.
well, yeah, and I've done kind of a lot of everything that's management oriented. I've done myself up until now, and it's really not my thing. I mean, I didn't suck at it, but I think there's a certain type, personality type, as well as like uh, the relationships that are needed to be a successful manager, and most importantly, the manager and booking agent relationships. This is super important. These two together, like one without the other is kind of useless. I mean, so we've got a team now. It's Oracle Management and AGI booking agent Justin Hirschman, and Des Fafara is the manager.
Oh, shout out to Des.
Yeah, and I've been watching him. He got into management, I guess, like 3 or 4 years ago now, but I've been kind of noticing for the last couple of years. And I see him killing it with Ginger, and he has Cradle of Filth now. And when I talk to him, I think he's really found, like, he's really good at it. Like, he can he can just make you believe and feel excited about anything he wants.
Every band I interviewed for every one of his bands that I've interviewed, it was like so perfect. Like, so.
Yeah, he's killing it, and I'm happy to be a part of him on his upswing as he has transitioned into a new career path, doing management, and he's really excited about it. And yeah, so that's all good stuff. That's going to be keeping Once Human busy in 2021 and hopefully some in 2020. It just depends on, the Machine Head schedule, and so we're just kind of waiting to see how that comes out. So.
Awesome. Well, Logan, always great to see you, man.
Yeah, you too, man.
Everybody,
Thanks.
Logan Mader of Once Human. Be sure to check out the newest single, Sledgehammer, if you haven't already. New stuff coming soon. We'll see you next time on Heavy New York.